Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave. Hey, top of the morning to you.
What's going on?
Love the baby blue shirt. You know what? It makes you look a little younger. It's doing something for you. I don't know what it is.
It's a pastel. It's springtime's coming. I'm looking a little Easter eggy, but I'm thinking I'm liking it. But that's what the pastels are for, right? Sharing in
that's
the
what you
Easter
say. You know what?
experience.
Anytime I need to know style, I always go to you.
That's me.
So
I'm king of style right here. That's what I'm known for.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about your decal there. We have a truck going downhill. Is that right? Or could it be going uphill?
Yeah. It could be backing uphill, I guess you could say. But steep grade ahead, caution. Steep grade ahead is what it means. So be careful when you crest that hill. Make sure you got the Jake brake on and you're slowing down a little bit.
Ride the brakes a little bit more, right?
No,
is that right?
That is not true,
no?
But don't do it. Just make sure you're careful and position yourself to be successful on the hill.
Hey, it's Thankful Thursday. It's our chance to make sure that we tell you out there, you're our heroes. We're so thankful for every single thing you're doing, the dedication you're doing to making sure that you're staying safe, that you're keeping our country supplied, and you've done it through the rough years, right, Save? Through that pandemic. You did it. You kept us going. And now, Dave, the big challenge right now, it's not the pandemic. It's really that fuel pricing to the drivers.
It's not only the fuel pricing, it's also the crazy people out there on the road. Woo. More and more people out there fighting them, cutting them off, brake checking, doing all that fun stuff that you fight every day. But I'll tell you, you got to be the hero. You know what? You got to put the same cape on every day and go out there and do what it takes. And we appreciate all that you do every day.
Yeah, we want to, again, it's our chance just to say thank you. And we want to make sure that this country, and we do our part to make sure that you know truly how thankful we are. And if you're in a shipping and receiving dock right now, you're at the fuel line and it Loves, the TA, the Petro, wherever that is, make sure you tell that driver thank you, that they chose your facility. If you're in the dispatch office, you're a owner, you're in the recruiting, hey, tell them thank you. Thank you for going out there on the road and leaving your family behind for 2, 3, 4, 3 weeks at some point and keeping us going. Boy, what a sacrifice that our drivers in this across the country make, Dave.
It is not that hard to walk up and say, hey, driver, I appreciate what you do. It is not that hard. In fact, you should do it. If you have an opportunity to do it in the truck stop, make sure you just walk by and say, hey, I appreciate what you do, driver. It is Thankful Thursday. And you know what? A driver can thank another driver, too.
I'm no driver, but I want to show them how easy this is to say thank you.
Here it is.
Hey, Dave, I want to... I can't do it. I can't do it to you. I can't do it to you. You're not a driver, though, Dave. You're not a driver.
On me right now.
Hey, listen, Bruce Willis. Did you catch the news?
No, I did catch that.
Wow.
Sad. Retired.
Did you realize, hey, does producer, you even know who Bruce Willis is?
No.
You don't know who Bruce Willis is?
No.
Yippee-ki-yay, you don't know that one?
Oh, man, the guy, he's been in, Dave, over 100, at least 115 films. I started counting them today.
I See Dead People. Yeah, how do you not know who Bruce Willis is?
Oh, man, it's hard to believe that somebody has been in that many. But one of my favorite, Dave, is the documentary Armageddon. Oh, yeah. Big fan of that.
Yes, the one where the asteroid is hurtling towards the planet and he goes up and blows it up. Yeah, me too. And in fact, it was just on yesterday when they announced
National Geographic. Was it on that? Whoa, easy there.
I just broke the chair.
There's a chair. Hey, Dave, while you're breaking chairs, let's go into this market because it's important that again, we continue to talk about what's happening in your market today. Here we are. We're looking at the last, we're going back. Let's make sure we're looking at 6 months. So in the last 6 months, the price at the pump that you're buying today, it's up 54%. Fuel's up 54%. Hey, but guess what? That rate to you, that spot market, and you're saying, I am paying more than I ever have before. Hey, guess what? Your rate's going down, and it's down 6%. Right. Dave, it's all about supply and demand, and here it is right here. The supply down 16%, 16% less freight than was available to you just 6 months ago.
Yeah, and by the way, you got to realize it doesn't matter what the fuel is. The rate for the load is based upon the volume. And if the volume is low, the rate's low. So I mean high.
Yeah.
I got it backwards.
That's the market you play in as a independent contractor, as somebody that has that 1, 2, 3 trucks. That person that's playing the spot market. You're not playing this market.
No.
The fuel doesn't mean anything to you. It's just a cost that's going up to you. You can only get what the market dictates, and the market's saying less money, less freight, and hey, guess what? Down 36% is that freight that trucking companies, that logistic companies are rejecting, meaning that there's less freight going out there right now, and we're accepting a lot more, creating just a little bit of volume for you out there on the spot market side, which is driving the rates down. More competition.
Yeah, and with that fuel price going up, I anticipate that that's going to continue to feel that squeeze, right, on the consumers out there buying goods and maybe even services. So you're going to continue to feel that squeeze as consumers feel the pressure.
Yeah, let's look at February. Let's just go back to the beginning of February. Even since that period, since February the 1st, we're up right now on the fuel, 38% increase in February. Okay,
that's crazy.
What does that mean? Well, hey, guess what? The amount of freight out there being tendered, that's down 14% since February 1, which is what, Dave? We look at here, we're down 31% right now on the rejection rates. Everything is going down, including including your spot market, which is also down about 12%. Rates are going down right now. You've got to make sure you're maintaining your fleet. You've got to make sure you understand your data. I'm going to say this. If you're out there playing the spot market today, you're an independent contractor, it's not going to hurt you today to start taking out freight 3, 4, 8 days, right? Because if you can take that load today for next week, hey, guess what? You're going to get it at a higher rate than it's going to be next week. The rates are going down. If you wait and take that same load next week, the brokers, the logistics folks, they're going to get a little bit more aggressive on you, and they're probably going to pay you a little less. Understand your market. Understand where the trends are going right now. If you can, turn that truck off. Save that fuel. Drive to the independent contractor. What are they, when every hour that truck idles, what are they burning?
They're burning a gallon of fuel every hour, and if you take a 10-hour break and you idle there for 10 hours, you're going to burn 10 gallons of fuel, and right now, that's $50.
Yes.
That's $50 out the window, and if you do that for 7 days, you're looking at $350 that you've never, ever accounted for. If you shut it off, you just save yourself $350. And that $350 is cash right off the top, and you've got to be very, very careful with that.
Straight cash, homie. It's what it is. That is what it is.
Cash,
hey, listen,
homie.
We're coming back to you in about 60 seconds. We have a special guest, Dr. Napier from the UTA, going to talk a little logistics with us. We're going to school, folks, and you're going to join us next on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave, I was going to tell you, often I am the smartest guy in this room, but right now I can't say that. We have Dr. Napier here from UTA. Doctor, how you doing today?
Doing well. Honored to be with you on Thankful Thursday. I will say, I remember Bruce Willis from back in the TV show Moonlighting.
Yes,
Okay.
So I've been around long enough to remember that.
I like that show.
I like
he was
it.
kind of a witty guy on that show.
I'm just going to go out and tell you right now, Pulp Fiction, by far the best movie ever. I know it was a lot of people in that, but still a big fan of the Pulp Fiction movie with Bruce Willis in it as well. Our heart goes out to Bruce as he goes through,
challenges.
some challenges on that. And it kind of, and Dave, that disorder, it's not a disorder, it's a disease, right?
Yeah, aphasia is actually a brain damage to the brain. Aphasia is actually brain damage. It could be from a stroke or a head injury, but it's incurable. They can treat some of the symptoms, but it's not curable right now.
All right. Hey, Dr. Napier, let's just dive into it. We have about 26, 27 minutes. So talk to us a little bit about your background and what you do at UTA.
Okay, well, long time background in consulting, did a lot of work with implementing information systems for businesses of all sizes. Got to a certain point when I became an empty nester. My daughter went off to college. I said, what are you going to do next? Ended up going back to graduate school late in life. Got a PhD in management science with a concentration in operations management at UTA. Went out, had the opportunity to teach at a few other great universities, and then in 2013 had the opportunity to come back to UTA, and I've been there full-time faculty member in information systems and operations management ever since.
Wow, that's, I can tell you this, when I become an empty nester, and I'm only a couple years in theory away from it, unless my youngest daughter has something else to say about that, I'm not going back to school.
I am an empty nester, and I'm not. I'll watch a documentary on TV every day, but I won't be going back to school. So tell us what operations management and what it is that you teach.
Okay, our definition of operations management is, and I'm in the College of Business, so for us, operations management is all about managing the value-adding processes that are important in any organization. So you think of all the other things that people can major in a College of Business, and then maybe separately law, legal work. But operations management basically covers everything else. So when people ask, what does your company do? The answer is you're talking about their operations.
So for the value add, give us kind of dive into a little bit more of that. A value add to the manufacturer, to even a trucking company. What would that be?
Well, it's all about taking the inputs and turning them into something that is of value to the customer. So in logistics, it's about things you were just talking about in the last segment: the fuel and the drivers and the equipment, and turning it into what the customers want, which is the goods got from point A to point B.
How big? How is that degree program growing in this as you have this over at there? Because I'm thinking that with everything going on in logistics and stuff like this, how big is that growing over there at UTA?
Well, we had a little bit of obscurity of the trend with the COVID pandemic response. And so it was more or less treading water for a year or two, but we're ready for a big push. We see a lot of student interest coming back. A couple of years ago, if somebody said the word supply chain to you, it meant that they were either working in the field or they were studying it as a student, or they might have been teaching it. And today, with all the high profile and talk about the supply chain disruptions, now we say the profession is really advanced, because now we're at the point when somebody doesn't have what they need, we can actually get blamed for it. They talk about it's a supply chain problem.
You're absolutely right, and we saw from President Biden when he talked about trying to get somebody to explain the definition of supply chain, and I can't help but think that we've heard so much about it that it's going to drive the students into there. When a student goes to, enters in class, what is what's their first impression on what they're even do they even have a clue what supply chain is? Or when they jump in, are they in there thinking, what? And then you start talking, they're like, no, I didn't think this was what I was going to do.
That's a great question, because I like to do that. In our curriculum, all students take the foundation course in operations management, and most of those students are majoring in other things, majoring in marketing or information systems or management generally. And so I asked that question in the first day of the introductory operations management class, and in a lot of cases I get kind of deer in the headlights blank stares. So I have to start with talking about it's about processes and taking inputs, turning them into outputs of value to the customer.
When it comes to the supply chain, do you spend much time, or does the curriculum include a lot about the truck driver, about the trucking of the logistics side?
Well, in one particular course, which I've been honored to be able to teach for the last several years, we call it Supply Chain Logistics. And that is the one course where we really unpack, kind of get under the hood in transportation and talking about driver driver issues and where the market is with drivers, and just how kind of try to make students aware of what a challenging life it is, and we have other advanced operations management courses where we do deeper dives into a lot of work with quantitative tools. I know you're all on top of optimization, how that works. We've got a management science course where we go into that. But the one course where we particularly focus on warehousing and then separately transportation is that supply chain logistics course.
I'm curious, and as we talk about this stuff, I'll tell you what, some of the things that we focus on a great deal is safety. Do you see safety buying into some of this education, or are we educating the new students on how important safety is in regards to what's going on out there on the highways and the roads and into this industry?
I would say the general answer is probably no. That's probably not front of mind in a lot of the coursework, but particularly in that logistics course. And in other courses, we talk about how you're talking about managing capacity and short-term response. Typically, let's run some overtime. And we do make people aware that, okay, that's a good short-term fix, but you do it too long, it becomes a death march, and you get quality issues, and then you get safety issues. So we talk about it there. But one thing I like to do in the logistics course, I always have a student assignment that we do a lot of work with students working in teams in these courses. So in the supply chain logistics class, the assignment is, I call it Talking Logistics. And the assignment is for the student team, typically three students, go out and find two people that are working in some aspect of logistics and interview those two people, interview them separately, and then come back. And part of the student assignment is just think about the questions you're going to want to ask,
right,
and then get the perspectives from the two people that have essentially the same job in logistics. And why two people? Because if you only interview one, you're kind of a captive audience. You get the whole worldview you get from that one person. So I have them interview two people that are doing the same job, not necessarily from the same company. Sometimes they get two from the same company. But in that is always a good part of the course when they come back and they report to the students. And I've learned a lot myself about some of the issues with the challenges of being a truck driver. There was an old country song that has a line in it: if you really want to know what gets your goods from state to state, it's Rolaids, Doan's Pills, and Preparation H. And the insights that the students bring to the class from talking to those drivers, I was not aware of, kind of long hours and the toll on your body.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And some of the kind of economic pressures that people deal with. So in that assignment and the presentations that the students do, that's where a lot of awareness of the importance of safety and just the challenges of being behind that wheel all week.
And that's called Talking Logistics. Is that what that is?
That's what we call it. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
How long is the Talking Logistics? Has that been going on for many years as well?
Let's see. I think I started it in 2014.
Okay, good enough. So how has that changed in the last 2 years, the Talking Logistics? From what they're interviewing people, I know the story to anybody in transportation. It's changed since COVID. What are they saying today that's different than before COVID?
Well, I think one of the things that comes into play is just that whole the whole issue. And I was glad you talked about it in your last segment. The idea that those people getting behind the wheel and driving those trucks, those are the essential workers. Remember when everything was about stay home, stay safe.
Yep.
And the truckers were the ones that were the essential workers, and getting out there and making sure the goods did get moved around. And I think that it was a great idea. We talk about good idea to express appreciation to law enforcement people. They're kind of underappreciated this day and age. I like what you said about I'm gonna thank a trucker next time I'm out there.
Yeah, for certain. And I will tell you this, and I just think it's important that we continue to talk about this as well. When you talk to the truck drivers, and we hear it on the show, is that they don't feel that same appreciation today that they felt, a year and a half ago. It's almost like as we get back into normalizing, they're getting back to being more of a nuisance on the road. They're not the heroes they were anymore. A big subject that's in transportation right now is lack of parking, lack of productivity. Do you guys, do you speak to that degree? And I'm going to go and give you some numbers here real quick. As a nation today, if you took the nationwide, what we do, we have the opportunity, the ability to run, call it 11 hours a day. We as an industry average about 6.3 hours a day of driving. And you think about the utilization, and not only is that detention at shippers and receivers, right?
Correct.
Taking too long to load the truck, unload the truck. Drivers, because of lack of parking and what we see, they're losing nearly an hour a day by shutting down early because there's no additional parking, or they're just searching for parking, wasted productivity of hours. Talk to us a little bit about, if you can, what that hour means in the big scheme of things to in logistics. You mean to think about how many miles that means that drivers can't run, and how that just can't help but raise prices. As we talk trucking shortage, driver shortage, all of these things in here. My goodness, when we look at an hour a day, we're only using 60% of a driver's day. Man, that needs to be taught to somebody. People have to start making some changes on the unloading, the reloading, all of that, the parking, to make a difference in the big scheme of things in this trucking industry.
Wow, I really appreciate you telling me that. I mean, I've learned something today. I may not be the smartest person in the room by a wide margin. I might be in third place, or your producer's a smart guy too. But no, we address those productivity issues more. I'd say more from a point perspective. So we do a lot with quantitative tools and how to calculate, just for students to understand productivity and why it's important. And from a general perspective, just talking about how increasing productivity is generally a win in increasing efficiency, any of those things. But no, I was not aware of the 11-hour capacity and only 6 hours being productive, called billable time. That's a light bulb going on over my head today. So thank you.
No, you're it's what we do. We try to educate everybody on what we see with the numbers, but it really is. It's absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you, when we talk transportation, we talk logistics. Bad habits that were created during COVID, right? And because of the lack of capacity, because of lack of drivers, lack of equipment, we all of a sudden saw major shippers, paying for drivers to be unproductive. Meaning that I get it's only 6 hours, but I'll pay you 10 hours for your 6 hours of time. So we saw a lot of bad habits in there, and I bring that back to what you said about the overtime, right? It's like spending money to fix a problem as opposed to using the solutions.
Right. Or being a little more proactive and managing your capacity in such a way that maybe the overtime could have been avoided in the first place.
What are some of the things that when students first come in and you do the talking logistics, and when you, not just logistics, but your program as you introduce them to some of these things, and when they leave, what are they? Because every now and then you get good feedback, right? I mean, not always. They're just looking for their grade, and some of them are just like to get out, right? But every now and then you have that one or two that. What kind of genuine feedback do you get after your when you talk on your class?
Well, some of my favorite feedback is thank you, Dr. Napier, for grinding us through some of these quantitative tools. We do a lot of things where they go hands-on with business software, and I get sometimes feedback that comes in just right after the class on the student surveys, but occasionally I get a student that's appreciative enough, I'll get like an email after the fact that says, I hated this part of the course when you were grinding me through it, but guess what? I got a job with this company, and here's where we are, and thank you very much for putting us through that.
Yeah, so I was going to ask that question. I'm glad you brought it up. The high school coaches, if they were to coach the LeBron, they're like, I'm the one that coached LeBron back in high school. Who's your LeBron James out there in the business world right now?
Let's see. Well, we've got a few of them, and they're in different places. And I'll just name some company names. PepsiCo, Lockheed Martin Aerospace, Bell. That quite a few students that came in and just embraced the concepts and worked hard and showed it, and they went out through those interview cycles, and the employers saw it, and they've had great careers. And
I'm ready for you to write a book on talking logistics. I'm ready for you to get a book out there so that everybody can read talking logistics.
Well, that would be fun, and maybe with some of the material that my students have collected over the years with talking to the drivers, and it's not just drivers, but the truck drivers have been probably the most common job category that people find and go out there. So if drivers are listening today, if you get any outreach from UTA students want to talk to you for a project,
we'll
please
provide you. Hey, you know what?
play.
Next time you need a list of people like a talk to list, we'll give them a talk to list because we have some vocal people that will be glad to tell you about the industry.
I'd appreciate it. I'd enjoy it if you gentlemen would stay on my talk to list. I've really enjoyed the visit today.
Yeah, we get tired. You'll get tired of us, but we'll wear it out for a minute. Hey, I do have one question. I want to just finish. What is we brought up optimizers for a second. How does optimizers work in today? Are you teaching optimization in the school as well?
We do. We typically have a touch point on optimization, and usually it's introduced kind of basic stuff, linear programming models, and we do the transportation algorithm, things like that. But in our courses, we give them enough information, enough hands-on experience going into the optimization tools that are native to Microsoft Excel, and give them the concepts, but they need to go a lot further, get a job and be focused on it. And then we have another program we've got at the bachelor's level and the master's level. We've got degree programs in business analytics, and students that take that track get a lot further into the quantitative tools. And some of those people do have the capability. They come out with the capability to kind of go under the hood into kind of big time optimization models like the things that you and your team are working with.
Yeah, when you start talking optimization, and I guess the detail to the data, understanding the data, is there a lot of time spent so they know what that data means? Because data on the optimization is critical. And for whether you're a truck driver, you're in the dispatch side, the data is critical, because I say this. Here's what I say. There's nothing wrong with sucking as long as you know you suck, because then you can fix it. That's data. You have to have data to tell you where you can improve. What do you do to teach to show your students how they can make a difference on the data points? I mean, when they see that.
Well, typically we do that in some different courses that are part of the operations and supply chain management curriculum, particularly our management science course. We do a lot of that, and sometimes we do things like require them to participate in a student competition of some kind where they have to grab some data, do some analysis, and then compete with student teams from other universities. And our students, our teams have done quite well with that over the years. And I have had students say exactly the point you make. They say, there's really a lot of value in the time you just spend looking at the data set, before you get into trying to do the modeling and draw some conclusions. I just appreciate it when the students say, you learn a lot about how this all works just by looking at the data.
Yeah, when you think about the truck and when you think about the autonomous vehicles, do you spend much time talking about autonomy yet in the trucking industry and how that's really going to change what we do?
We do. That's a unit that we always cover and do a lot of work with. I have student teams go out and take a look at current articles from business publications, and I often select every time a track, 2 or 3 articles on emerging technologies moving towards autonomous vehicles, not just in trucking, but even in personal transportation and all that. And it's really interesting that everybody's worried about the kind of safety issues and those kind of things. When it really comes together, it'll probably be statistically safer in some of those autonomous vehicles. But whenever there is the occasional crash, it gets high profile. People react. So there's a story. It might be an urban legend, but the deal was this: that in 1896 there were two gasoline-powered automobiles in the state of Missouri, and they had a head-on collision. So if that's all you knew about automobile technology back then, you'd say this is way too dangerous. We're never doing this. We never go Horses are smart enough not to run into each other.
Yes, sir. I like it.
I'm not sure that's true either.
There's always this pattern where first the technology emerges and it's like, yeah, it's physically possible, but it's not economic yet. And then you learn more about it and go along the learning curve, and you say, yeah, now it's physically possible and it's economically attractive, but now we got to deal with the safety and regulatory issues.
Yep, no doubt. Hey, we appreciate you being on the show. Dr. Napier, one thing we ask every guest is to state your name, where you're from, who you work with, and then say thank you for joining BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Happy to do it. Yeah, Randy Napier with University of Texas at Arlington. Happy to be here on BCB Live, safest station in the nation.
Boom!
We'll see you later in about 60 seconds. Thank you for watching BCB Live, safest station in the nation.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thankful Thursday. It is Buckle Up Bob. You are with BCB Live, the safest station in the nation, and we are going to get you started off with some traffic. The winds have died down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but the traffic has not. So, again, unlike the winds, the traffic is still there. Again, we've got some issues eastbound on 30 as you approach the 820 loop, northbound on 35W as you approach the 820 loop, and the 820 loop itself. Once you get west of or east of Saginaw, as you approach 35W merge point, construction, busy merge point there as well. And again, it backs up all the way on the eastbound as you get on the approach the 820 south portion there in North Richland Hills. So again, you've got a big backup all the way there. So you're looking at about a 20-minute delay as you come in, and you've got the 121 coming south here off of the 820 loop as well. So again, that's all under construction. Big problem this morning as rush hour gets kicked off. And again, our normal issues up in the construction north of 820 loop. Typical problems 30 eastbound in Arlington, right? We have a backup on the northbound side direction going on 287 as you approach this 20 merge point. Over in Dallas, right, you've got some problems on 67, 35E at the 20 merge and where they merge together just south of the city. Also 175, 20 merge points on the east side of the loop, 635, and again up at Garland, which is always an issue, as is 75 as you come down. So Dallas, Fort Worth, going to need a lot of patience this morning as you approach either area. You know, you're going to have, there's a lot of dark red, so we've got some accidents out there as well. It looks like there's one on 114 here by Cockrell Hill. So be careful, be patient, right? You need to be patient, folks, out there. Slow down and let them in. Stay in your lanes and just yield that right away. As we go down to Houston, our typical, right? The 10 as you get inside of 99 from Katy heading east. The tollway as you got also heading east from once you get inside 99. The loop looks pretty good. A little corner here in Jersey Village around the merge points 290 and 249. But other than that, it looks pretty good. 69 coming down looks good. 45 coming from the north also looks pretty good till you get inside the loop. So the Houston area has a pretty decent commute going on this morning, so just be patient. As we look in the Denver area, right, not much going on. 25 north, a little bit of a problem. 70's clear on both sides. The loop around 470 looks good. So again, in Denver, you've got a good commute this morning. Kansas City, hey, always green most of the time. It is no different today. There's just not much going on in Kansas City. Very few little teeny spots. So you're looking at no more than 5-minute delays anywhere in the Kansas City area. The winds, the weather, the rain has moved on. So it looks like Kansas City, you're back to normal. As we look up into Chicago, crossing the Indiana-Illinois state line, 80, 94 looks good. 55, again, clear all the way up through Bolingbrook and inside the loop. 88 coming in from the west. Aurora, Naperville, all looks good. 90 up north looks good. Elgin and Schaumburg, as does 94 as you approach 294. No issues there. So again, the loops are clear. The main arteries feeding to the loops are clear. You don't get any issues till you get into the downtown areas. So Chicago looks great this morning as well. As we look at Atlanta, always an issue, and it's been a problem all week. Let's see, I don't see a big change. We got 85 problems as you in the northbound direction near Fairburn and Union City. Stonecrest out here, the westbound direction is a problem. 85 the southbound direction. Lots of stop and go and spotty on 141 as you come in. Peachtree Corners, Johns Creek. 19 from Roswell through Dunwoody is a problem. 20, as usual, from Highway 6 to the Loop. The Loop has issues all the way around from 20 to 20, and there's a little problems on the southern side. Looks like we got some dark red on the northbound direction by Ben Hill. As you go north off 154, looks like there might be an accident there. So again, southern part is still your best bet. But it's not going to be a good commute if you're in the Atlanta area this morning. All right, let's take a look at Nashville. Nashville looks 24 back to 266. That is typical. There is some dark red, so there could be an accident there. 40 is a problem today. We have a lot of traffic all the way back to Pegram through Newsom as you approach the 770S right near Walnut Hills merge point. Then we've also, looks like maybe there's an accident as dark red as this is on 40 on the westbound direction from Lynn Christie all the way past Monticello as you approach Clover Hill. Big backup there. Looks like, again, it's dark maroon, which usually indicates an accident. So be careful there. 2440 merge point, probably because of that accident. There's not much traffic getting around it. So again, not too bad as you approach Nashville. 31E again has an issue on the southbound direction, as does 24 and the 65 merge point, which is normal. So again, nothing unusual there. 65 coming up from the south, the northbound direction. You have issues all the way back to Mudsink, right? And then you get a little bit of break by Hallbrook, but then it picks up again at Brentwood, all the way up to Creve Hall. So 65 is going to be a problem. So Nashville, you got a lot of things going on this morning. The loop is great. Once you can get to the loop, take it. It's going to be your best bet. But again, it looks like if you're heading west to Nashville, 40 has looks like a pretty good backup, pretty good accident maybe there holding things up. And we got a lot of traffic on the eastbound direction from the west side of Nashville this morning as well. As we look in the D.C., folks, again, a lot of traffic going on, and they're going to start getting some weather and some winds this morning around 10-ish, 10 a.m. As those strong thunderstorms continue to move eastward. Again, we have problems down on 95 near Oxon Hill, over on the east side from Kettering, Largo, Springdale. Always a problem up here on the north from Adelphi and Silver Spring on the loop. 66, we are backed up again all the way past Centerville to Sudley, and then you get a break, and then it picks up again as you approach 495 loop. Annandale, a problem. as is out here in Bethesda, a little bit on 270. Our arteries connecting to Baltimore. 295 has some big issues this morning. A lot of traffic both directions from Russet, South Laurel to Greenbelt. 95 looks pretty good until you get up to the Baltimore area near Relay and Arbutus. You're going to back up there at that merge point. But other than that, it looks pretty good on the 95 moving up towards Baltimore. 70 coming in from the west, the eastbound direction as you approach the loop at Woodlawn. You're going to see a little bit of a backup there. We already talked about Arbutus. And then you've got some traffic from Woodlawn, Milford Mill, Pikesville, right around the northern part of the loop, Parkville as well. So again, that's all normal. We always have the red up here on the northern side of the loop. But the rest of the loop, 695 south part looks good. And then again, on the western side of the Baltimore Metroplex, you're going to see some traffic backing up. That is in the southbound direction lane. As we look at our Philadelphia, right? A little bit clearer on the New Jersey side. Not quite as red, not quite as many areas. Still got a little bit of traffic. Haddonfield, Belmar. 95 has some big issues, it looks like, all the way to the city. It's a little bit longer past Palmyra on the Pennsylvania side as you approach the little airport up there near Bensalem. So, again, you're going to have some problems there. 476, always a problem from Marple Township all the way through. That is in both directions. 76, some dark red, might have been an accident there as well. And that is stretched all the way to Conshohocken. Then you do get a little bit of a break. And then 422, you have a little bit there at Valley Forge. But 76 looks good coming in from the west to Conshohocken. And 276 looks good. It's going around the city. A little bit of a backup at White Marsh. So, but that should be your way to get around the Philadelphia. Hey, get on 276 and you should have a pretty good movement this morning. As we look at Indianapolis, 70 looks good. Even the city, the airport looks good. The loop looks good. A little bit of a problem right here, 74 on the northbound right after you get off at 74, and head north to Warren Park. Then everything looks good. The 69 merge point looks good, as does the 65 up there in 865 in Zionsville. So again, Indianapolis, you all have a great morning commute going on right now. So again, keep your patience, slow down, and keep that space. Let them in. All right, we are going to go to some weather. And so I want to show where them storms are first. And you'll be able to see them right coming up through Georgia. This line is going to stand. There's going to be a really strong potential for some tornadoes in the Texas Panhandle for Panama City Beach and Jacksonville a little bit later. And then the D.C. area, there's going to be another pocket up here in the D.C. area for potential tornadoes this afternoon. So we're going to watch this a little bit. Let's get rid of some of them numbers for now. But you can kind of see as we put this in motion, you're going to see this moving right up. And then about 8 p.m. tonight, this is out in the ocean. A lot of lightning on the southern part, so you can see where all the power and the energy is on that, which is Panama City Beach is kind of moving in there now. You're going to see potential tornadoes. And then the threat is all the way up through to South Carolina. So again, be mindful of that. If you are headed in that area, pull over. These things are moving fairly quickly, so you got about an hour wait, and then you should be good. As we look at our wind gusts, right, we finally get a break in the Midwest. Not much going on. Let's scroll that back. And then if we look right now, again, Detroit, 48-mile-an-hour gusts. Otherwise, they're in the 30s. So again, you just got to slow down, get it under 55, and you should be good. If you're light, maybe get it under 50. But again, that's going to be across 80, across Ohio, into Pennsylvania. As we move through the day, again, we'll look there at about 3 p.m. You can kind of see as that storm moves up the D.C. area, the winds are expected to pick up. Pennsylvania, right? There may be some commercial motor vehicle bans. We'll keep an eye on that. You'll want to. And then you see the purple starts to move into Jacksonville, as we said, with them storms. So again, this is about 3 p.m. Let's see if it starts. I think it starts just a hair earlier. There's 2 p.m. It's still there. So 11. So as I said earlier, about 10 a.m., there's going to be some strong thunderstorm warnings. They're already going through Atlanta. So again, probably why all the traffic issues. But you can see this is going to hug the coast for most of the afternoon hours. And again, this winds will die down behind it, but they will move east. So what's in Ohio now is going to hit the Pennsylvania, New York area. So be mindful of that if you're traveling up there. Pennsylvania may put some bans on the commercial motor vehicles. We'll show you some of the precipitation. And you can see a lot of the snow and ice is up in Canada. But a little bit of snow came through Minnesota yesterday. Now in Wisconsin, western Michigan is supposed to change. And a little bit of snow pocket here in Kansas, as you can see the temperatures. But I believe our temperatures are expected to warm up. Right now, you're hovering right around, just a hair above the freezing mark. You can kind of see the line. And then as we go through the day here, as we get to 2 p.m., you can see everything in the 40s. So that snow is going to be melted, very short-lived in most of the areas. You can see even Denver up at 58. So any snow is going to be in them upper elevations. Be mindful of that. Hey, we'll take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
Welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Today we are talking about turning safely.
I got it.
Only here on BCB Live can you find moves like that. Drive safe, Dave.
I
Top it. What do you got?
I did not see a seatbelt.
Oh.
Oh.
It's a dance-off.
Sorry.
Old school dance-off.
Oh, man. Buckle up, Bob. We're talking about turning safely.
Yes, we are.
Drive Safe Dave getting jiggy with it. Talk to us about safety. Turning safe.
Well, we talked about the turns, and they're mainly the right, the left, and the U-turns, which should never be made. So some tips, right? A reoccurring theme in all safety tips is speed, right? The speed management is one of the most important things. You must slow down. Take your time when make these turns. Don't get in a hurry. If it's a light and it's yellow and you're going to make a turn, you really just need to prepare to stop so you can gather your thoughts, make sure everything is done by the proper way to avoid accidents and protect life. So again, we talked about left turns. These are usually where a lot of the fatalities happens in the accidents, right? So you, especially making a left turn, you want to slow that process down. If it's green and you're coming up to it, be prepared to stop. And that way you get that extra time to just think and be situationally aware, right? And multiple times before you start to make your turn, check the directions. We showed a video earlier in the week where the people from all different directions ran that red light. So you want to be careful of that. And just remember, situational awareness is every intersection is the most dangerous place on the roadway.
I'm just giggling. I'm going back laughing just because we do such a better job today of explaining the intersections than when we first started doing this. I don't know if you remember, Buckle Up Bob, but we would almost like preach, hey, stop at the intersection even if the light's green. And it was like, who stops at a green light?
Yeah.
But it's not what we were saying,
No.
right? We were saying, hey, be prepared, be mentally prepared. know it's going to turn yellow, especially if you're a long way away. We're not ever encouraging you to, it's green, to stop and then go ahead and just double check, make sure everything's good. But I just remember it was just so funny. We used to give you a heart. We used to give you a
I
heart
remember it because I said I stopped at a green light. And it's like, and what I
We
meant
both
was,
looked at each other. Why would you stop? There's nothing safe about that.
yeah. And what it was actually like we say now is, hey, when it turns green, stop and pause. But you're right. The explanation left a little bit to be desired.
Let's show some videos here, buckle up.
Yes, sir. We have some really pretty good ones, and then
Good
one we can
space.
learn from. Yes. And we say, what is it, 1 in 5 in the slow-moving lanes? Well, 2 came out of that one. So, again, there your odds go up, but that's what you got to be ready for. 1 out of 5 is going to jump out into your lane, and this driver was ready for any of that to happen and able to stop. Speed is good, space is good, and here comes a white and a black car, so it looks like. So, again, that's what's going to happen. Very good, driver.
But no matter when you count on this, you're still 4+ seconds away from that vehicle in front of
Yes.
you. Absolutely amazing. And this is why you count right here. Yes, you're a little closer, but you're going a lot slower. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004. You're still at that distance where you're able to stop safely. Phenomenal job out there. Great job.
Yeah, and you got 6 lanes of traffic, so you know you're going to encounter all kinds of traffic.
Oh, green light, stop, stop. Oh.
A little late. Now, again, we never know what's going through drivers' minds. We've heard some of the discussions, that drivers have shared with us. But again, it's that prepare to stop, right? You see it, it's green, there's yellow. But if you're slowing down, preparing to stop, then you're able to stop. This one got a little bit close to out there in the intersection.
Yeah.
But the main thing is they stop.
Yeah, and for those of you that are new to the show as well, sometimes, and we said it first here yesterday, that you'll have a left arrow that may be red or could be green. The other lanes or could be the opposite, right? You could have a red arrow and it still be green to go straight. You've got to make sure you understand what lane you're in. Drive safe, Dave. You learned something yesterday when it came to that.
Okay, I didn't see the other, but you're talking about an arrow. Green arrow is a protected left turn.
Yes.
And I mean, what? So is that what you're saying? Yeah, the
That's
turn lane had
exactly.
changed differently than the intersection. Yeah, I was watching the turn lane. Sorry.
Here again, great space and speed, right? And again, because this driver is managing this speed and space, right? The first option isn't to change lanes because he or she is able to stop right where they are. And that's what when you're driving safely, that's what you can do. You're able to stop in your lane and you're not forced to take that lane either side of you that could cause something worse. Great job.
Phenomenal videos.
It's in the valley.
And again, it's that time of year, the weather's warm, and what are we going to see? Wow. No helmets, no nothing, and they're going to take on 2 semi. You got to be mindful, folks. It's getting that time of year, right? The weather's changing. It's getting warmer out there. More and more of these motorcycles are going to be out there. We've got to keep our refocus, I guess, back onto that, the watch for these motorcycles. They're very hard to see, especially when they're doing that. And this one here, folks, tailgating's tailgating. Back off. You just got to back off, right? And then what's really sad is, this driver just gets too close, even when the other runs, just back off. There's nothing safe about that. And there's no good that can come out of it.
Aggressive driving.
Yes.
Very aggressive driving. Yeah, it's just, we got to be able to count, though. You got to count that through. You've got to see yourself approaching that. And again, the other driver moves out of the way. So let's just see. I mean, you made your point. He's moving. You've got to still slow down. I mean, you can't drive aggressive like that, Dave. You're asking for an accident.
Yep. You got lucky this time. You may get lucky next time, but your luck will run out. And if you do that habit and you continue to do that habit, your luck will run out. You will hit something.
Man, it's just, we've got to continue to watch that. If we have anybody, we have a few minutes, you want to raise your hand, get involved for a second. Let's get involved. Let's talk a little bit of safety. Buckle up, Bob. We had the professor here today talking a little logistics.
Loved
I think we got learned today, Draft Safe.
Schooled.
There you go.
We got schooled right here. And you know what? I was almost afraid he was going to assign homework. Yeah, it is.
Hey, I did lower his chair down a little bit. 'Cause you're
job.
in our home right now. You know what?
Let's tell you. But you know what? Interesting to know that they are teaching important facts, and I do like that talking logistics. that he's got that he assigns to his students to go out and meet and understand somebody in the industry, what they're dealing with, what they see. And not only one, but he requires at least two to go out and get two different points of view. A very interesting how he does that and gives real experiences to the students and apply it to their studies.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you some challenges, and I know that he took some great appreciation with him to pass on to the students, but some challenges with, and we spoke about optimization, right? Is that optimization is an absolute phenomenal thing. However, it doesn't take into consideration a human. And a human's behind the wheel driving these tractors or, driving this equipment, no matter what we're doing. If they're tired, it doesn't matter that they have the available hours to drive 10.3 hours. Why do you only drive 9.9 hours? It's the human factor, right? It's parking. It's drivers that are worn out. It's drivers that are just tired. And Dave, they may have all the hours in the world, and buckle up, Bob. Just because I had my 10-hour break, it doesn't mean I had a good night's sleep, and it doesn't mean I'm rested to go today, right?
That is correct.
Or well. You can be unwell, and then it can happen to you in an instant. All of us have, and I can tell you from driving, you can have started out your day fine, and then as the day went on, you started to feel bad. You started to not feel well, and then everything changes. You have to replan how you're going to do it because you got to go to bed. And if you're not 100% behind the wheel, you're definitely a danger to everyone and anyone out there on the road.
Yeah, and I'm working on a learning nugget about fatigue driving because we don't have a really good one, and we want to bring that up. And it's just recognize the signs, and that even the time of day you drive can, even though nothing's going on and you think you're in control, just that time of day messes with your body's clock, and it can cause some fatigue if you're not that. We're all wired different. Not everybody can drive at night, and you've got to know that and realize that, hey, I may have to plan to stop more, just to kind of take some breaks, and so I'm not sitting there behind that tedious, doing the same thing for a long length of time.
And the dispatchers, the safety folks, the driver managers, the HR, the operations managers, they have to realize that, at the end of the day, it's still a human behind the wheel. It just doesn't matter. You can't unlade them. You can't make them untired. You can't force them to run, greater than what they can run safely. It's all of these things we have to take into account, and it's tough, right? Because that driver manager is sitting there saying, "But I'm getting graded on this," and you know what? You've got to explain it, and that's where I say, as a driver manager, as a operations manager, hey, use your big words. Say, hey, you know what? We had all the hours, but so and so wasn't feeling well. He didn't get the optimization. It is what it is. There's nothing else we can do. We didn't have any freight for him. The shipper took too long. It is what it is. There's nothing you can do, and you can't take it out on that driver, no matter what. No matter what, you can't put it out on them to force them to try to get that extra hour. Get on the same page. That way, if something changes, right, Dave? If you're in Kansas City, and you know what? I'll see you tonight in Dallas, Texas. Whatever that is. Well, get on the same page, and if the driver, hey, listen, if you can't make it all the way, call, communicate, so everybody's on the same page, and we can react accordingly. Communicating is such a big part in what we do.
And don't be afraid to communicate. Like, if you're not feeling well, I get it. We've all, look.
And don't punish him for communicating. Don't punish her for communicating.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. There's been many a times that I just wouldn't call or because I tried to push through it and was a bad idea, right? And you should call and you should say, look, I'm not feeling well, right? I mean, if that's the case and you are unfocused on the road because you hurt, I mean, believe it or not, pain is a distraction. And you can be in severe pain and not be able to deal with what's going on out there because it shortens that patience, right? It stops that patience that you have. It stops your ability to make a good decision and hold your temperament at where it needs to be. Because if you're hurting, you're not doing it right. And you got to make sure that, so be cautious about what you do and understand that any distraction out there is a danger. So you've got to be 100% behind the wheel.
You said something right there. We're going to go into a prayer. Before we do that, buckle up, Bob. Here we go. I'm going to put you on the test right now.
Okay.
This is a Rocky movie. Clubber Lang, what's your prediction?
Pity the fool.
No. Pain.
Pain. Oh, that's what it was.
Pain.
Yeah.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day you've given us. We thank you for all the drivers out there that you've given each and every one of us that's delivering the goods and keeping this country going. We ask you to keep them safe, get them back home to their loved ones, and get them back home to their trucking companies safely. Help us to give them that support, to recognize when they are also tired and to work with them. Give us the courage to always protect them. We're so thankful for the heart and the soul that you've given these drivers. They're just amazing, amazing people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Make it a safe day. Make it, Dave, the safest day you've ever made it. We can continue to push these streaks. We can hashtag in the street Texas. We can stop these fatalities, and it matters what you do. Each and every one of you make a difference today. We'll see you this afternoon on BCB Live.
The safest station
in the nation.
Wow, that was cute. I like